Mudit Krishna Prabhu, Haribol. Prabhuji, you just begin with the prayers. I will just join in 2 minutes.
Yes, Prabhu. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayamudirahe Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Ruttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nandagopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namah ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपदां सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमः ॐ विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे नमो महावदान्याय कृष्णप्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नाम्ने गौरत्विषे नमः हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Yes. So we are reading from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Canto 3, chapter number 22.
Marriage of Kardama Muni and Devahūti. So we are in the final section of this chapter, where there is a description of kingdom of Svāyambhuva Manu. So we come to text 33. Sabharya sapraja kaman बुभुजेऽन्या विरोधतः सङ्गीयमान सत्कीर्तिं शस्त्रीभिः सुरगायकैः प्रत्युष्वेष्वनुरूपद्धेन वृथा शृण्वन् हरे कथाः. Translation.
Emperor Svāyambhuva Manu enjoyed life with his wife and subjects and fulfilled his desires without being disturbed by unwanted principles contrary to the process of religion. Celestial musicians and their wives sang in chorus about the pure reputation of the emperor. And early in the morning every day, he used to listen to the pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead with a loving heart. Purport: human society is actually meant for realization of perfection in Krishna consciousness. There is no restriction against living with a wife and children, but life should be so conducted that one may not go against the principles of religion, economic development, regulated sense enjoyment, and ultimately liberation from material existence. The Vedic principles are designed in such a way that the conditioned souls who have come to this material existence may be guided in fulfilling their material desires and at the same time be liberated and go back to Godhead back home. It is understood that Emperor Svāyambhuva Manu enjoyed his household life by following these principles. It is stated here that early in the morning there were musicians who used to sing with musical instruments about the glories of the Lord, and the emperor, with his family, personally used to hear about the pastimes of the Supreme Person. This custom is still prevalent in India in some of the royal families and temples. Professional musicians sing with shahnais, and the sleeping members of the house gradually get up from their beds in a pleasing atmosphere. During bedtime, also, the singers sing songs in relationship with the pastimes of the Lord, which Shahnai accompaniment, and the householders gradually fall asleep, remembering the glories of the Lord. In every house, in addition to the singing program, there is an arrangement for Bhagavatam lectures in the evening. Family members sit down, hold Hare Krishna Kirtana, hear narrations from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam and Bhagavad Gita, and enjoy music before going to bed. The atmosphere created by this Sankirtana movement lives in their hearts, and while sleeping, they also dream of the singing and glorification of the Lord. In such a way, perfection of Krishna consciousness can be attained. This practice is very old, as learned from this verse of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Millions of years ago, Svāyambhuva Manu used to avail himself of this opportunity to live householder life in the peace and prosperity of a Krishna consciousness atmosphere.
Yeah, it's a
As
bit
far
further,
as
we'll see in the sections. Emperor Manu enjoyed life with his wife and subjects and fulfilled his desires. So, Svāyambhuva Manu was a perfect grahastha. He performed his duties very well. He enjoyed also his life in conjunction with the Tasmat Shastra Pramanam. Early in the morning every day, he used to listen to the pastimes of the Supreme Lord with a loving heart. So, this is one of the important part of enjoyment, relishing Krishna Katha as a family. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada writes that the human society is meant for realization of the absolute. And there is no restriction that one cannot live with a wife and children, but the life should be centered around Krishna, right? So, when we have the outreach program, we tell people that you become devotee. Why? Because you will have the first class philosophy, you will have the first class music. The mantra is also such amazing mantra, Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. That in practically thousands of tunes, this mantra can be sung. You have first class prasad, you have first class friends, and you have, and this is ultimately a parodharma. So, relishing Krishna consciousness is what is being stressed here. Prabhupada says this is the Vedic principle. Vedic principle is dharma and kama can go together if Krishna is in the center. And how a householder should enjoy Krishna consciousness, that is being explained here. Prabhupada says this is the tradition even in the many rich families. They will get up early in the morning, where there will be musicians singing with the Shehnai, and the people will get up early in the morning, right? And then when they are going to bed, they will be also hearing the pastimes of the Lord, and slowly, gradually, they will fall asleep, and thus remembering the Lord and having dreams about the Supreme Lord. Therefore, many devotees have this practice of hearing kirtan while sleeping. Gradual kirtan is going on, or there is other practices. Other practices, reading Krishna book. Prabhupada recommends somewhere else that one should read Krishna book, couple of pages before going to bed. And as soon as we get up, we remember the Supreme Lord. Karagre vasute Lakshmi, Karamadhe Saraswati, Karamule tu Govindam, Prabhate Karadarshanam. These are the samskaras one has. And then this is how Prabhupada says this is not a new system. This is the age-old system followed even by Svāyambhuva Manu millions of years ago. So there is no restriction, Prabhupada says, there is no restriction that one cannot live with wife and children, provided it should be a very Krishna conscious family atmosphere. And this is how Prabhupada says here, Svāyambhuva Manu used to avail himself of this opportunity to live the householder life in peace and prosperity of a Krishna conscious atmosphere. Yeah, please continue.
As far as temples are concerned, in each and every royal palace or rich man's house, inevitably there is a nice temple, and the members of the household rise early in the morning and go to the temple to see the Mangal Aarti ceremony. The Mangal Aarti ceremony is the first worship of the morning. In the Aarti ceremony, a light is offered in circles before the deities, as are a conch shell and flowers and a fan. The Lord is supposed to rise early in the morning and take some light refreshment and give audience to the devotees. The devotees then go back to the house or sing the glories of the Lord in the temple. The early morning ceremony still takes place in Indian temples and palaces. Temples are meant for the assembly of the general public. Temples within palaces are specially for the royal families, but in many of these palace temples, the public is also allowed to visit. The temple of the king of Jaipur is situated within the palace, but the public is allowed to assemble. If one goes there, he will see that the temple is always crowded with at least 500 devotees. After the Mangal Aarti ceremony, they sit down together and sing the glories of the Lord with musical instruments and thus enjoy life. Temple worship by the royal family is also mentioned in Bhagavad Gita, where it is stated that those who fail to achieve success in the Bhakti Yoga principles within one life are given a chance to take birth in the next life in a family of rich men or in a royal family or family of learned brahmanas or devotees. If one gets the opportunity to take birth in these families, he can achieve the facilities of a Krishna conscious atmosphere without difficulty. A child born in that Krishna atmosphere is sure to develop Krishna consciousness. The perfection which he failed to attain in his last life is again offered in this life, and he can make himself perfect without fail. Hare Krishna.
So while this is true for the Grihasthas, Prabhupada says, for each and every, as far as the temples are concerned, in each and every royal palace or the rich man's house, there used to be a nice temple. And the Mangalarti ceremony takes place, which is the first offering in the morning. Prabhupada writes here, the Lord is supposed to rise early in the morning, take some light snacks, and then be ready to give darshan in the temple. And the first arati is offered, that the Mangalarti is offered to the Supreme Lord. And all the personalities will assemble. And there are many royal temples, the temples especially for the king. If you go to Barsana, there are beautiful stories of the kings, how they are erecting beautiful temples for the Supreme Lord. And Prabhupada gives example of the royal temple, that is king of the Jaipur, Raja Man Singh. He is constructing huge temple, and that temple is always crowded. That when we visited Jaipur, when devotees have visited, we can see that there will be minimum 500 to 1,000 people. Naturally, they will be gravitated towards the temple right way early in the morning. So temple worship within the palace is also open to the public in general, where they can also take darshan of the Supreme Lord. This is how one has to keep the Lord in the center, and especially those who are born in a Vaishnava family, rich family, royal families. The very birth is indication that they were the devotees in their previous life. Suchinam Shrimatam Yehe Yoga Bhrashto Bijayate. That such nice arrangements are already there in your, has come across you because you were already a devotee in your past life, and somehow or other you could not complete your devotional service, and now you don't have to struggle hard for the necessities of the life. Use this paraphernalia, these arrangements, and focus on the spiritual life. So this is one very important aspect of the child born in such a family, and especially to the family of the devotees. Text 34. Nishnatam yogamayasu munim Svāyambhuva Manum yada brahmsham shetum bhoga nashekur bhagavat param.
Thus, Svāyambhuva Manu was a saintly king. Although absorbed in material happiness, he was not dragged to the lowest grade of life, for he always enjoyed his material happiness in a Krishna conscious atmosphere. Purport. The kingly happiness of material enjoyment generally drags one to the lowest grade of life, namely degradation to animal life because of unrestricted sense enjoyment. But Svāyambhuva Manu was considered as good as a saintly sage because the atmosphere created in his kingdom and home was completely Krishna conscious. The case is similar with the conditioned souls in general. They have come into this material life for sense gratification. But if they are able to create a Krishna conscious atmosphere as depicted here or as prescribed in the revealed scriptures by temple worship and household deity worship, then in spite of their material enjoyment, they can make advancement in pure Krishna consciousness without a doubt. At the present moment, modern civilization is too much attached to the material way of life or sense gratification. Therefore, the Krishna consciousness movement can give the people in general the best opportunity to utilize their human life in the midst of material enjoyment. Krishna consciousness does not stop them in their propensity for material enjoyment, but simply regulates their habits in the life of sense enjoyment. In spite of their enjoying the material advantages, they can be liberated in this very life by practicing Krishna consciousness by simple method of chanting the holy names of the Lord, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Nishnatam. Nishnatam. Although he was absorbed, the king was a saintly personality. He was a Rajarishi. And thus he did not degrade himself to the lowest grade of life due to availability of uh, unrestricted sense enjoyment. He always enjoyed his material happiness in Krishna conscious atmosphere. So this is the secret. Enjoying material happiness in Krishna conscious atmosphere. Quality and quantity both. Right. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada writes, the kingly happiness generally drags a person to the lowest grade of life because you want to enjoy. And naturally, what happens is that enjoyment will naturally lead person to a sinful life. How much you can enjoy? You cannot enjoy the material world excessively without becoming sinful. Right. We have seen last time that somebody wants to eat a vegetarian, somebody wants to eat. I mean, how much you can eat? So there are, the hotels you can go 500 rupees per plate, 1500 rupees per plate. And what else you can do? Right. So to the degree one wants to extract the enjoyment from material world, to that degree one is forced to become sinful. And this is the trap. This is the trap, Prabhupada says. This is the trap of degradation to the animalistic life and lower than the animalistic life. But Svāyambhuva Manu was restricted in his enjoyment. He created the atmosphere at his home and the kingdom. That atmosphere was very, very Krishna conscious. So this is the wonderful balance that devotee has to fit in. Generally, there is a tendency to go to extreme that, I will not do this. Or we are fully absorbed in that. Sometimes, we also get into this problem. That I will absolutely not go to social media. And then other time, you realize, last 6 hours I was on social media only. So Bhoga and Tyaga, one has to come to the delicate balance of restricted enjoyment or restricted indulgence. Right? This is very important. So, which is Shastra Sammata. Right? Because indulgence has a very negative connotation. Prabhupada writes further, a Krishna consciousness atmosphere can be created by reading the revealed scriptures, by temple worship and deity worship at the house. So this is the atmosphere of Krishna consciousness. Present moment, the modern civilization is very attached to the materialistic way of life and very, very, it is unrestricted sense enjoyment. And therefore, Prabhupada says, Krishna consciousness will not stop you from enjoyment, but Krishna consciousness will guide you, regulate our habits so that one will not become degraded in one's life. So this is very important that, and therefore Prabhupada gave these 4 regulative principles very clearly. So no meat eating, no gambling, no intoxication, no illicit sex. Why? Because there is a regulation. These are the hard stop one can have. So this is how, and Prabhupada says, and at the same time chanting the holy names of the Lord, one can actually perfect one's life. Text 35. Ayatayamas tasyam yama swantarayapana shrunvato dhyayato Vishnur kurvato bruvrata katha. Translation.
Consequently, although his duration of life gradually come to an end, his long life, consisting of a Manavantara era, was not spent in vain, since he ever engaged in hearing, contemplating, writing down, and chanting the pastimes of the Lord. Purport: as freshly prepared food is very tasteful, but kept for 3 or 4 hours becomes stale and tasteless, so the existence of material enjoyment can endure as long as life is fresh, but at the fag end of life, everything becomes tasteless, and everything appears to be vain and painful. The life of Emperor Svāyambhuva Manu, however, was not tasteless. As he grew older, his life remained as fresh as in the beginning because of his continued Krishna consciousness. The life of a man in Krishna consciousness is always fresh. It is said that the sun rises in the morning and sets in the evening, and its business is to reduce the duration of everyone's life. But the sunrise and sunset cannot diminish the life of one who engages in Krishna consciousness. Svāyambhuva Manu's life did not become stale after some time, for he engaged himself always in chanting about and meditating upon Lord Viṣṇu. He was the greatest yogi because he never wasted his time. It is especially mentioned here, Viṣṇu kurvato bhruvata katha. When he talked only of Krishna and Viṣṇu, the personality of Godhead. When he heard something, it was about Krishna. When he meditated, it was upon Krishna and his activities. It is stated that his life was very long, 71 yugas. One yuga is completed in 42,20,000 years. 71 of such yugas is the duration of life of a Manu, and 14 such Manus come and go in one day of Brahma. For the entire duration of his life, 43,20,000 into 71 years, Manu engaged in Krishna consciousness by chanting, hearing, talking about, and meditating upon Krishna. Therefore, his life was not wasted, nor did he become stale. Did it become stale? Hare Krishna.
Consequently, although his duration of life gradually came to an end, his long life, Manu, is Manvantara, his full Manu era he is going to live, long life, very long life, consisting of Manvantara era, was not spent in vain, since he was ever engaged in hearing, contemplating, writing down, and chanting the pastimes of the Supreme Lord. So this is the conclusion of life of Manu. So Manu was always engaged. So previous shloka describes about Manu enjoying the material life also, along with the family. And here it describes Manu enjoying or Manu engaged in the spiritual life. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada writes, the life is very fresh in the beginning, but as one grows old in the life, and at the fag end, everything becomes very tasteless and appears in vain and painful. Right? Because the things that we hook onto, the desires, even after being fulfilled, there is a saying, right, which says that when dreams are fulfilled, misery begins. And so there is always a chance that at the fag end of life, one will see one's life as very tasteless, painful, that it will be always painful, because we have Shatashandi Jarajaram. The body itself is made in such a way that is Jara, the old age will. And therefore, it is very important that as we become old in our life, we should be conscious of our attitude, right? And when there is something is called as uh, there is a difference between somebody becoming old and somebody becoming aged, right? So one should be very careful that one only grows in the age and doesn't become old. What this means is that, to the degree now, we'll go in a different direction, that discussion. But there is a very beautiful theory which is proposed by Dr. Viktor Frankl. He talks about logotherapy, and logotherapy means